Hello everybody and welcome back. This week, before we get into anything, I'd like to tell you, yes, we are continuing the video from last week, but I also wanted to introduce some footage of me working around in the area beforehand. Still got a couple of crashes here and there, but I thought that nevertheless, those are like weird Noggit crashes and they have really nothing to do with like level design, so I decided to go ahead and insert some of the work that went into, for example, creating the path that leads from the outside into Gilneas, as well as sort of like talk a little bit about the channel and what we're going to be doing in the future. So one of the things that has happened as I continued, editing and doing my mods, is I get different people contacting me for different purposes, modders who want me to showcase some of their content, or what happened recently, a community of role players, their community is called WOTLK, came to me and they sort of asked if I was interested in collaborating. We sort of like worked things out, and I told them, yeah, look, I'm going to be working on this particular zone for my modding, for the mod section in my channel, and yep, I decided that I'm going to be releasing this, and I'm going to be releasing it directly to them. So they're going to be using what we're seeing in these videos as part of a setting for some of the role-playing sessions on their server. Don't ask me any more details about that right now. As I understand, they're not ready to start like operating. So right now they're just exploring and they're experimenting and they're trying out some things. So as soon as I have like any more information regarding that, I'll let you all know. But yeah, it's been really interesting. There's a lot of like bugs that are starting to sort of like showcase when I'm like developing the patch. There's, for example, like some texturing bugs that happened in Noggit, especially if you're like working within certain vanilla areas where you might paint things very, very well, but when you come back to them after a save, you'll notice that there'll be like a shadow overlaid, missing textures on it, and I really don't know right now what the solution to that is. But it's been going on, so you might see some, if you see any, like bits that seem like aren't textured in any other point when looking at this mod, let me know, because it's probably that I just haven't noticed that the bug has happened here, and that we really need to take control of it. But aside from that, everything's coming together pretty well. We've gone ahead and we've changed a lot that should be ready to have sort of like the pretty elements show up for our next video. So hopefully our next video is going to be a sort of a just nice showcase of where the mod stands right now. But until then, everybody, enjoy the video right now, and now I connect you back to the rest of last week's video. Alright, here we are, and we're back here at the junction point, and now we're going to climb the upper path to go on some other highlands of the area. As you can see, there's a surviving bush of the previous pallet, and this needs a little bit of work as well. I'm in the process of changing this fort's barriers, and I'm going to be replacing them with these different walls. So you can see this here is sort of a temporary test, and I'm going to be removing that. I think it matches better with the whole new styling of the walls. Oh, and actually that's a really good point. Before, this was more for show. There wasn't like any real accessibility to it, so I just decided to rearrange this a little bit and have this provide an actual route into the top part of the wall and actually access beyond the wall, which is something that is entirely new. It's an area that I hadn't thought of before and have now sort of redesigned. So pardon my clumsiness as I move around through this area, but this is beyond the wall, where there's a lake and a dam of sorts that spills over into the ocean. So there is something similar to this in Gilneas. It's a little bit different, but I thought that this would be really cool, and this is on the outskirts of the wall. So if there are, you know, players or NPCs that you want them to be guardians of the wall and you want to have access to that, you can do this pretty much through here. And so you have full accessibility. It ain't pretty, but it, you know, in this type of environment and in this type of sort of fort, well, it's okay. It's not meant to be pretty. It's meant to be kind of utilitarian. So it's good that we got to see a little bit of that. This is what was once the forests area, which had a lot of mist. We're going to be adding the mist back into it, but I first want to be done 100% with the terrain, because editing wise, mist models kind of get in the way of selecting things, so the mist will be the last thing that I add into it. There's a greater variety of trees, and I think it actually looks pretty nice. There are other areas in the zone that I just incorporated. I'm not 100% sure that I will take you to them or explore them because they're still in their, I'd say, like experimental stage. But I might as well just give you a quick little tour if you don't mind. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go straight up around this area, and this is where this would end essentially, and this would take you to a different part of the map. Well, it turns out that if you come around here and you just go through all this jagged stuff, which will be fixed at a later point, we arrive to this area, which is going to be the equivalent to that part of the woods in Cataclysm where the Worgen sort of originate or gather. So there's not much right now that has been set forward. I think I, in fact, smoothed some of this terrain out in the latest edited version. So that's going to be awesome. That's also really cool seeing the lighthouse from this perspective. So we're going to go back. We're going to... I know that some of you in the previous video have already seen some of the elements of... I think it's the previous version. Oh, are we... Is this serious? Let's just... We're just going to have to activate the fly then. Boom. There we go. So, yeah, you've seen part of that, of the town. There are still other elements that I need to fix. You know, like this path in of itself needs to be redrawn, and there's certain things that need to be smoothed out. A lot of the development process is going back into the mod, taking notes and seeing like, okay, this needs fixing, this needs fixing, this needs fixing. So yeah, this looks pretty great now when you take into account, you know, the moon, the dark sky, the scraggly trees. It's all, you know, pretty good, and I'm really happy with the way that it's looking. I still haven't added the final skybox that I want for this area, and it's going to be something that's going to tinge Gilneas in that, or Gilneas in that perfect pitch. But right now this is looking really awesome. So yeah, there you go. You have the rest of the wall, which now extends. And if you remember the previous versions, there's just jagged wall there. And honestly, it didn't look that great. Now as I look at the wall and I look how it's sort of like perched where it is, it looks really good. And I'm really happy that I was able to get it to the point where it's at. More work. We're just going to have to continue doing more work and continuing upgrading and changing these things a bit more. But yeah, it's been really fun. So having said that, I don't think that I have much more to show you besides the actual city proper. So I won't keep you guys. I won't keep you all waiting too long. What we're going to do is we're going to call it for next week. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more to show you. Hopefully we'll have, I don't know, something, you know, other projects that are going to be leading into further development. I don't want to speculate a bit much on what's to come. You never know. Like this week, a good 2-3 days, I thought that I might actually lose the entire project because I was having these random crashes. I still am not 100% sure as to how I got them to all work out, but we're back. So I'll see you all next week. Until then, enjoy.